Hey everyone, welcome back to the Unheralded Dynasty, where we recruit 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, and JUCO guys only. We focus on guys with high character who love football, and if you like what Curt Cignetti is doing at Indiana and winning national championship, this is the Dynasty for you. We were doing this before it was cool, so hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and join us on this journey. In this episode, we're going to be reviewing our roster and going through some of the changes that are happening heading into next season. 6 players are leaving the program, but in the Unheralded Dynasty, departures aren't just about losing talent. They're about understanding why young men make the choices they do and what those choices reveal about our culture. This is the harder side of building something special. This is where philosophy meets reality. This is where we learn whether our culture is strong enough to celebrate players even when they leave. So, Week 11, 3 games left. For most programs, this is about playoff hopes and bowl eligibility. But at UTSA, Coach Al Cruton has called a meeting. It's time to talk about the roster, not just who we have, but who's staying and who's moving on. This isn't a last-minute scramble. Every player has had extensive conversations with Coach O'Connell, Coach Cruton, their position coaches, hours of dialogue, honest assessments, questions about goals, fit, and future. These Week 11 check-ins let us plan for high school recruiting and the transfer portal, while giving players time to finish the season strong. 6 players, 6 different stories, all finishing the season as Roadrunners, then moving on to the next chapters. 6 lessons about building a program the right way. Carl Garvin, the wide receiver at heart. Carl Garvin came to UTSA as an athlete, a physical wide receiver we envisioned as a vertical threat tight end. He bought into the switch, worked his tail off learning a new position. But over the course of his redshirt season, Carl discovered something important. His heart wasn't at tight end. It was at wide receiver. Coach Edwards had plans for Carl, exploiting the linebacker matchups and empty sets, creating vertical mismatches and 3 tight end packages. On paper, it was perfect. But Carl didn't just want to play receiver. He wanted to be a receiver, to master route running, study cornerback techniques, develop the nuances of the position. The problem? We're deep at wide receiver. Carl would be fighting through a crowded depth chart for at least another year, maybe 2. Meanwhile, he'd be watching guys play the position he really wants to play. Here's what Coach O'Connell has to say.
Carl's not leaving because he doesn't love it here. He's leaving because he discovered something true about himself. That takes courage to admit.
Carl will finish the season with us, supporting his teammates at tight end. Then he'll find a program where he can chase his calling. And here's what he told Al before leaving. Everything you taught me about knowing myself, trusting my instincts, going after what I really want. I'm using all that now. You've prepared me to make this decision and succeed wherever I go. That's the culture. We don't just develop football players. We develop young men who know themselves. Daryl Goda, the found position. Daryl Goda is Carl Garvin's mirror image. We recruited him as a power back, moved him to middle linebacker, and he fell in love with it. Daryl wishes he'd played linebacker in high school instead of bouncing between defensive end and running back. He loves the contact, the chess match of reading offenses, being the quarterback of the defense. He finally found where he belongs. But there's a problem. 2 problems, actually. Steven Shermer and Chauncey Redmond. Both redshirt freshmen, both ahead of Daryl developmentally. Shermer was our number 1 recruit last year. Both of these guys are going to be stars. Coach Leff, our defensive coordinator, had this to say about Daryl.
Daryl has elite athletic tools for a middle linebacker. 87 speed at 225 pounds. That gets guys drafted. But he needs game reps to develop. We can't give him enough of those.
Here's the beautiful irony. We successfully converted an athlete to linebacker. He found his calling. And now we're losing him because we're too good at the position. Daryl could be a backup here for 2 to 3 years, or he could play immediately somewhere else. Coach Hayes, our linebacker coach, said, Daryl told me, Coach, you've taught me everything I know about playing linebacker, but the only way I'm going to get everything I need to know is by playing games. Daryl will finish the season learning from Shermer and Redmond, then he'll take everything we taught him and become a starter somewhere else. That's not failure, that's still development. Diego Lambo, behind the elite. Diego Lambo has 0 jealousy, 0 bitterness. He spent an entire year watching Jason Stork, an elite development player, dominate at center, and Diego has learned everything he could. Both are redshirt freshmen, but Jason emerged as something special faster than anyone expected. Diego could see the writing on the wall. Jason will be the center here for the next 4 years. Coach Edwards, our offensive coordinator, said,
"In an ideal world, Diego would be our backup for 3 years, then take over when Jason moves on. But Diego's timeline doesn't align with that. He wants to play, not wait."
Listen to how Diego talks about this. Watching Jason work every day has shown me what elite looks like. I've learned more in 1 year behind him than I could have learned anywhere else. But now I know what I need to work on, and I need the game reps to get there. That's incredible maturity. Diego isn't running from competition. He's being pragmatic about his timeline. He has 4 years of eligibility. He doesn't want to spend them sitting behind an elite player. Diego will finish the season supporting Jason and the offensive line. Then, some program is going to get a 6'3", 290-pound center who's been coached in our system and learned from an elite player. That's a win for everyone. Nate Sanders, the calling beyond football. Nate Sanders is leaving football. Not for another program, he's leaving the game entirely. Nate spent a redshirt year grinding, early mornings, film study, physical development, mental preparation, and somewhere in that process, he realized something. He doesn't love football the way he thought he did. All season, Nate had been asking Coach O'Connell about democratic schools, about student-centered education, about helping young people discover who they are. The wheels were turning. Nate said, "Coach, I love the team. I love what you're building here. But when I'm honest with myself, I don't love the game anymore. And I can't ask my body to go through what it takes to play at this level for something I don't love." Nate wants to be a PE teacher and a coach. He sees teaching and coaching as a way to impact lives, the way our staff has impacted his. Just in a classroom and gymnasium instead of on a football field. Coach Leff, our defensive coordinator, said,
Nate said to me, "Every day I'm thinking about football, studying film, learning assignments, preparing my body, and I realize I don't want to spend the next 4 years doing this. I want to spend it learning how to be a great teacher."
Here's what makes this beautiful. Nate isn't running from something. He's running towards something. He discovered his calling, and it's not football. That's not failure. That's growth. Nate will finish the season giving everything he has to this defense. And then he'll take what he learned here, discipline, resilience, teamwork, communication, and use it to become an exceptional educator. Alfonso Grimes, the honest assessment. Alfonso Grimes has an amazing attitude, a glue guy, the kind of player who makes everyone around him better. And he's leaving because he's honest enough to admit the truth. Alfonso spent a year practicing against some of the best linebackers in our program, and he made an honest assessment. He's not on their level. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Here's Alfonso's exact words. "I watch film of myself against them in practice, and the speed difference is obvious. The instincts they have, the way they process information, I'm not there. And I don't think another year or two of practice reps is going to close that gap enough to make me competitive for playing time here." Coach Hayes tried to keep him, showed him his improvement from fall camp to now. It was significant, but Alfonso asked the question that mattered. "Coach, given the guys you have now and the guys you're recruiting, do you realistically see me getting significant playing time?" Coach Hayes, our linebacker coach, said,
"I had to be honest with him. Barring multiple injuries, it's going to be very difficult. That's not a reflection on Alfonso. It's a reflection on how good the guys ahead of him are."
Alfonso wants to transfer to the FCS level. And here's what's remarkable. He doesn't even expect to start immediately there. He said, "I need to earn my way onto the field there too. But at least I'll have a realistic chance to compete for playing time as I develop." Alfonso's impact on our program went way beyond his physical ability. He was a guy who kept everyone loose but focused, who celebrated others' success genuinely, who brought positive energy every single day. Alfonso will finish these last 3 games as a roadrunner, giving everything he has. Then he'll take his elite attitude and character to the FCS level. We're losing him precisely because we've built such an elite linebacker room. And then There's Andres Emmanuel II. This one's different. This one hurts. Andres doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay at UTSA. Desperately. He loves being a Roadrunner. But he wants to stay without embracing what it means to be a Roadrunner. Like Daryl, Andres was recruited as a power back and moved to linebacker. Unlike Daryl, he struggled at both positions. Not because of talent, but because of attitude and effort. Coach Leff, our defensive coordinator, said,
Andres came to me multiple times complaining he wasn't getting enough reps, that Shermer and Redmond were being favored. I showed him the data, practice reps charts, film breakdown of effort plays, accountability metrics. The numbers didn't lie.
The coaching staff offered everything: extra film sessions, one-on-one coaching time, sports psychology support with Dr. Rachel Martinez. Andres said yes to all of it. Then, didn't show up. Dr. Martinez said,
Andres expresses strong wanting, desire for status, identity as a college athlete, but demonstrates weak willing, commitment to effort and sacrifice required to achieve goals. He wants the destination, but hasn't developed capacity to embrace the journey.
Coach O'Connell said,
Andre said he wants to stay. I told him, then stay. But to stay means meeting our standards, not asking us to lower them. You can stay if you're willing to change.
Here's the painful truth. Andres wants the jersey, the recognition, the status of being a Division I football player. But he doesn't want the grind, the accountability, the daily choice to be excellent when no one's watching. Coach Al Waysby Cruton said,
Our program provides structure, clear expectations, defined standards, comprehensive support. But it also empowers players to use their voices, ask questions, take ownership. That empowerment requires maturity and self-motivation. Andres had all the structure he needed. What he lacked was the internal drive to utilize it.
Andres will finish the season with us. We gave him every opportunity to succeed. He wasn't ready to take advantage of those opportunities. Coach O'Connell said,
Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is hold firm to your standards and let someone experience the natural consequences of their choices. We can offer the tools, but we cannot do the building. That work belongs to the individual alone.
Not every story has a happy ending, but every story teaches us something. So there you have it. 6 players, 5 leaving for legitimate reasons, pursuing their positions, their playing time, their callings. 1 leaving because he couldn't embrace what the program required. Carl discovered his true position. Daryl found his calling at linebacker. Diego learned from an elite player. Nate discovered his purpose beyond football. Alfonso made an honest assessment of his abilities. And Andres taught us the limits of what coaching can do. Coach O'Connell says,
This is the harder side of building something special. We talk about development, about helping young men discover who they are. Sometimes that discovery means they leave us. And if we're doing our jobs right, we celebrate that, even when it hurts.
We're losing a tight end with 85 speed, a center who learned from an elite player, 2 linebackers with elite athletic tools, a glue guy who made our culture stronger, and a reminder that not everyone is ready for what we offer. But here's why these conversations matter. Now we know. Now we can plan. Now we have 3 games to finish strong, and then we hit the recruiting trail with clarity about what we need. Coach Al says,
This is the reality of building a program the right way. We don't cut players. We don't push guys out. We have honest conversations, and we support whatever decision they make. That means sometimes we lose good players, but it also means we maintain our integrity.
5 young men leaving on good terms, prepared for the next chapters by what they learned here. 1 young man leaving because he wasn't ready for what we offered. All 6 finishing the season as Roadrunners. This is the Unheralded Dynasty, where we develop players into people who know themselves, where we celebrate growth even when it leads players away from us, where we hold firm to our standards while supporting every individual's journey. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Our job is to provide the water, the opportunity, the support, the culture. What they do with it is up to them.